Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Capricorn March 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, as far as March goes, the Sun will be in Pisces from the 1st until the 20th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, there could be a strong concentration of power, attention, and focus into compassion, idealism, altruism, and imagination, perhaps in matters in their communications. I think also with neighbors as well. It could be a lot more self-sacrificing involving these things. This could also be a time too where you may be emphasizing more relaxation and lethargy, so to speak, with neighbors and with siblings, perhaps, and really about, I mean, the Sun, where it's in a chart, it's really about where one may want to shine. So you might really be about standing out in some kind of communication. And it may be something Pisces related, such as something with chemistry or the metaphysical, which can include astrology, or something even of a spiritual nature. So anyway, next thing up is the Sun will be in Aries as far as March goes from the 20th until the 31st. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time, there could be that strong concentration of power, focus, and attention put into aggression, assertiveness, courage, and fortitude in one's home and family life. It could be a time too. On a negative side, though, there might be it could be more confrontational energy and more combative energy in the home as well. And I mean, it could be where, on the positive side, could be where you may be more inclined to stick up for a home or family member or someone you feel close at home with. But at the same time, it could be more confrontational and maybe battles that don't always need to be fought. And it could be a lot of this energy going into, I mean, in Sun and Aries, of course, very energetic energy, energy going into perhaps getting in touch with one's roots and one's traditions, and really being and really not holding back, not procrastinating in the process. So anyway, and also could be being, you have the Sun being an Aries. Aries is about things that are new. It could even be about establishing new foundations at this time and putting a lot of energy and focus into that. Next thing up, the full moon will be in Virgo on March 1st. So the ninth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn may become full, tired, so to speak, of a pedantic, judgmental, overly hypercritical in-law or grandchild. It could even be a foreigner. This could also be a time for the completion or culmination of a Virgo-like college course, such as something with data entry, statistics. It could be something with nutrition or health. Even computer programming, that could be something that could be very detail oriented. Something where maybe if you went to school to do something connected with editing, being an editor, because Virgo is very corrective energy. It's about correcting. And also too, maybe this could also be maybe the end of an overly critical philosophical outlook, or maybe something where something Virgo related may be published as well. And it could be something connected with health, nutrition, diet, something anything that could be Virgo related, and it could be something that just really has a real strong abundance of details, and something that it was worked with a lot of scrupulous, in a very scrupulous manner. So anyway, well, the next thing up is the new moon will be in Pisces on March 17th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be perhaps a new beginning of idealism and altruism, and showing compassion and self-sacrifice, perhaps in one's communications. It could be in one's short journeys, whether just giving somebody a ride, giving people rides to the store, showing being charitable in that respect. It could also be about a new, perhaps a new relationship in a way, maybe a renewed relationship with a sibling, or or even a new relationship with a neighbor, where you show a lot of altruism and compassion, idealism, and that Pisces self-sacrifice. And also, it could be the start of a new writing that may be something Pisces related, something connected with magic, the metaphysical, which can include astrology, magic, illusion, dancing, oceanography, something that could be Pisces related. It's something with spirituality even. So anyway, the next thing up is Mercury will be in Pisces as far as March goes from the 1st until the 6th. So the third house again will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn might be using more idealistic thinking in matters with siblings and with neighbors. And really, I mean, you talk about Mercury and the third house. This could be about assimilating a lot of knowledge, but maybe superficially. And given that it's in Pisces, obviously overlooking a lot of details. But there could be more thinking more connected with intuition at this time in matters with short journeys and with neighbors and communications with siblings, and making those decisions with these things in that manner with a little more intuition. And also, too, the communications with siblings and neighbors might be a little bit more ambiguous and cryptic than usual at this time. And if you're talking with somebody, say from your early childhood, those communications might be that way as well at this time. And remember that Mercury is also about short journeys, so this could be a lot of self-sacrifice in short journeys, maybe with people you knew from your early childhood. It could be, I'm sorry, not early childhood, your early education, I should say. People that it could also, or neighbors or siblings even. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Mercury will be in Aries as far as March goes from the 6th until the 31st. The fourth houses will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be really a more aggressive, outspoken, assertive communications at this time with people you feel close to home with, and family members as well. Perhaps you might be expressing more original and pioneering ideas with these people. And at the same time, remember that Mercury is going to be retrograde from, as far as March goes, from the 23rd until the 31st. So there'll be a little bit more reviewing before making these impetuous statements, and ones that you might really face certain repercussions from, because Aries energy is not one to hold back. Aries energy does not mince words, and you might be showing more outspokenness in your communications with home and family members that they're accustomed to, because Capricorn energy, of course, is much more disciplined and often thinks things out and thinks about how they're going to articulate things very carefully. So anyway, and remember that, I mean, this could also be a lot of more conversations about one's roots, one's traditions, and not holding back in the process. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Venus will be in Pisces as far as March goes from the 1st until the 6th. So the third houses will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, Capricorn needs to be careful of perhaps receiving maybe deceptive charm, perhaps from neighbors, siblings if applicable, people from their early education possibly, people that they're involved with short journeys with, that they might see in their short journeys perhaps. Also, this could be a little bit more about unrealistic spending, perhaps on siblings or neighbors, or it could be even matters with your transportation, such as your vehicle, perhaps places you go to maybe during these short journeys. And a lot of whether it's a lot or less could depend on the aspects, of course, this makes to natal planets and points in your chart. Let's say that this Venus in Pisces makes an adverse aspect to your natal Jupiter, this could be about more exorbitant and unrealistic spending. But if it makes an adverse aspect, say, to your natal Saturn, then maybe the opposite might happen, and you might be spending way too little on certain things. So anyway, this could also be about the enjoyment of perhaps Pisces-like things with neighbors and siblings, such as fantasy, imagination, the metaphysical, which can include astrology. Things also, well, another thing to look at too is Capricorn. If you're unattached, you might find somebody in your neighborhood or introduced to you by a sibling or someone you knew from your early education. It might be someone that could be a prospective significant other, romantic partner. That could be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Pisces, or simply somebody that may embody those characteristics. So anyway, next thing up is Venus will be in Aries as far as March goes, from the 6th until the 31st. So the 4th house will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, this could be more for Capricorn about perhaps aggressive and assertive, spontaneous spending in matters pertaining to home and family at this time. It could also be for people that you feel close to home with. And sometimes this could even be about spending money to aggressively getting in touch with one's roots. If you're, like, saying, going on to Ancestry.com or one of those websites where you're trying to research something connected with your roots, and you have to spend money in order to do it. So if that's the case, that could be an example. And also, too, this could be the enjoyment of things that are combative and competitive with family members, whether it's going out to, say, a sporting event, or it could be just doing boxing or karate or wrestling with family members at this time. This could be something where you have to share that and actually enjoyment with those people at this time. And if you are Capricorn, if you are unattached, this could be a time where maybe you meet someone that could be a prospective romantic partner or significant other. That could be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Aries, or simply somebody that embodies those characteristics. And it might be someone you feel close to home with, someone that is introduced to you by a family member. And anyway, well, the next thing up is Mars will be in Sagittarius as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 17th. So the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be a time where Capricorn might express some reckless and foolhardy energy in private affairs. It could even be, in some cases, looking at this, you're talking about Mars in the 12th house, the energy and vitality in general might be more limited and restricted than usual, even though it may be enthusiastic and exuberant. It could be a lot of this exuberant, enthusiastic energy injected to things that one does in private, in solitude and seclusion, and even for those that are less fortunate than them, such as the homeless, the oppressed, the impoverished, and the hungry. And also, too, this could be about some private arguments over sports, religion, philosophy. This could be, too, where the situations with people in your private life might be more contentious and acrimonious than usual. It could be a time also where you might expend some energy, perhaps working out vigorously by yourself. And anyway, another thing about this too is that this could be a time too, I mean, the 12th house is also hidden adversary, so this could be a time too where you might be trying to really really maybe it's time where there might be some confrontation with somebody that might be someone that was posing as your friend and maybe comes out as a hidden adversary, or these hidden adversaries at this time might be people that are, Mars, like people that are very combative or aggressive, or something that could be Mars related. And also that anger could be the self-undoing at this time. Foolhardy actions can be the self-undoing. So anyway, next thing up is Mars will be in Capricorn as far as March goes from the 17th until the 31st. So the first house is will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be about really having just generally more energy than usual, more energetic though discipline. And Capricorn might come across at this time as a little bit more argumentative and outspoken than usual. Keep in mind also the libido might be increased as well for Capricorn. And the thing too is, looking at this, remember that Mars is also about surgery. So there might be a little greater propensity for surgery at this time. And keep in mind, we're talking about Pluto is going to be in Capricorn as well, having the first house emphasized. So it could be a little greater than average chance to have surgery, something Capricorn related, such as the knees or the bones or the skin at this time. So, and anyway, it could be too at this time as well, where I mean, just to be safe, and I know this is very remote and isolated. Remember that Mars does rule gunfire, and you're talking about especially if Mars is hitting the literal first house in a natal chart, and the first house being the physical body, of course. And it's just it's really best to be careful at this time if you're using guns or you're in a volatile area where there's a lot of shootings or killings, because the chances of being injured by something Mars related or even being a victim of just a general volatile assault is a little bit greater than usual at this time. So anyway, next thing up is Jupiter will still be in Scorpio. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn might experience increased surreptitious and nefarious activity, perhaps with their friends and acquaintances. Keep in mind, as I've stated in previous videos, that Jupiter can be somewhat paradoxical. It is very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also be about enlarging and expanding things. It could enlarge that surreptitious activity, even nefarious activity, with friends and with acquaintances perhaps. But at the same time, Capricorn may have certain luck and fortune in detecting subterfuge from these people and going beyond what's superficial with them as well. And it could also be some luck and fortune in doing something Scorpio related as a goal or aspiration, such as something with the occult, astrology, the supernatural, magic, alchemy, some kind of investigation, detective-like work, forensic. Those are some things to look at as far as this goes. And remember too that Jupiter, as far as the March goes, will be retro in Scorpio from the 8th until the 31st. So this could be, it could be about some review of some profound and deep philosophy that is perhaps connected with your friends and with your goals and aspirations at this time, and also perhaps a review of exuberance and enthusiasm in something Scorpio related that could be an aspiration or goal, such as the supernatural, the occult, and astrology. So anyway, next thing up is Saturn will still be in Capricorn, so the first houses will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, well, this could be a period really, especially if this is actually hitting the first house in the literal natal chart, there could be a little greater propensity to lose weight at this time and become a little bit thinner. There may also be certain restrictions and limitations associated with the physical body, and it might be something Capricorn related, such as something with the knees and the bones, perhaps. And this, of course, could be making Capricorn feeling even more melancholy and despondent than usual. Now, this is a time, too, where Capricorn might be in a situation where they're forced, maybe they're working more laboriously, working harder, and they're showing maybe even more discipline and seriousness than what they usually do. And also, they might feel too that making the first impression on someone might be a little bit harder. There might be certain restrictions trying to make that good first impression on someone at this time. And two, I mean, remember Saturn can represent the father, and it could be that the father might play figure more prominently in one's outlook at this time, and really their outlook on life, their maybe even the appearance, perhaps, and in shaping Capricorn more as a person at this time. It could be too that maybe there might be some kind of more of a serious responsibility at this time Capricorn feels to their own body and their self and their outlook and their appearance than usual. And there might be more where Capricorn might even be more regimented in what they do than usual. So anyway, next thing up is Uranus will still be in Aries, so the fourth house as well will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn might experience more erratic and sporadic activity in one's home and family life at this time. There might be unusual, unorthodox new traditions, or maybe even foundations. A family member or someone Capricorn feels close to home with might be experiencing, showing, or exhibiting some ingenious qualities. This could be the time too where you might decide to get your home, a new look in terms of having more high-tech electronic and computer items, even if it's just the Wi-Fi doorbell. So just innovative things in the home is what you might start to accumulate at this time. And another thing too is that Capricorn, be careful too of maybe electrical shocks in the home at this time, because Uranus, of course, does rule electricity, and the fourth house is the home. And at this time too, there might be more propensity too for having outages, electrical shortages in the home as well. And the home life itself might have certain disruptions at this time and might have certain chaos going on, and you might experience a number of moves as well during this period. So anyway, next thing up, Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn might experience maybe certain deception and duplicity in their communications. Perhaps it could even be with siblings and with neighbors, perhaps people from their early education. Neptune can also be about dissipation and dissolving, so this could be a period for Capricorn where they might feel that their communications are starting to dissipate and dissolve. It could even be a relationship with a neighbor or with a sibling, perhaps, if applicable. And also too, a sibling or neighbor might be going through some alcohol or drug use at this time as well. So those are, some things to look at. And also Capricorn needs to be much more assiduous and prudent than usual about seeing the fine print in matters with writings as well, and also making sure they're hearing everything that's being said to them at the same time, because there's a little bit more proclivity to overlook essential details at this time in communications and in writings as well. So anyway, and also there might be more communication about Neptune related things, such as the metaphysical, which can include astrology, things of a spiritual nature, photography, maybe communicating more through imagery and photographs than usual. Maybe matters connected with pharmaceutical, things that are pharmaceutical, drugs, and just generally, and just Pisces related things in general. So anyway, next thing up is Pluto will still be in Capricorn, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, Capricorn needs to really, this is a time where there could be a very strong transformation period for Capricorn. Sometimes this could be a period of surgery for Capricorn as well, and it could be something Capricorn related, such as the knees, the bones, or the skin perhaps. This could also be a time too where I think Capricorn needs to be wary of maybe being more manipulative than usual or becoming overly power hungry. there can be, I mean, in some cases too, I know a lot of you don't want me to say this, but I talk about this often when we are talking about Pluto because it is connected with death and is a little greater chance of a person dying at this time, especially if it's actually making a conjunction, especially to one's natal ascendant or one's sun, because the sun, of course, represents it's our vitality, but it's also life. Pluto is death. The first house can also be connected with one's vitality, and Pluto being death, of course, and Pluto sometimes can obliterate vitality and life. So anyway, I mean, the thing about it is too, this could also be really about having very powerful new beginnings and ones that are more transforming than usual as well. This could also be sometimes the death of a person, perhaps that they knew in their early childhood that they might experience at this time as well. Anyway, the North Node will still be in Leo, so the 8th house will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, well, this could be perhaps a period too for Capricorn, where, I mean, when you talk about the North Node in transit, it's often about what we have to confront. And it could be for Capricorn, perhaps confronting someone they're having an intimate or sexual relationship, someone that might be arrogant, domineering, bombastic, overbearing, even extravagant, and it might be time where Capricorn feels the need to confront this person. And also, too, this could be about, in some cases, receiving an extravagant inheritance at this time, or maybe having to, having to spend a little more money than anticipated on taxes or insurance, because Leo, of course, doesn't do things in small numbers. It's about extravagance, and even it might be having to spend more money even on surgery in some cases, and it could be also something connected with something Leo related, such as the upper back or heart. And really being, and maybe Capricorn has this need where they have to be a little bit more magnanimous and generous in matters connected with shared resources. So they're giving their fair share in those matters at this time. So anyway, next thing up is the Black Moon Lilith will still be in Capricorn. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, I mean, this could be a time where maybe, because we're talking about the first house in self, this would be a time where Capricorn might really, maybe themselves, something comes out where they're showing these really negative Capricorn characteristics, such as maybe being ruthless or tyrannical, and very strong, maybe undemonstrative, and it could also, and overambitious, could also be somebody. You're looking at the Black Moon Lilith, and this could often be about a revelation or unveiling of a formidable adversary that could be a sun, actually be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Capricorn, or simply somebody that embodies those characteristics. It could be somebody that a Capricorn may have known from the early childhood. Sometimes the enemy could actually be his or herself as well, could be the own worst enemy at this time. So anyway, and it could also be a time where maybe Capricorn, I mean, something gets, the cat gets let out of the bag, so to speak, and maybe something happens with Capricorn where maybe a limiting, depressing outlook on life is unveiled, and Capricorn didn't really want really anyone to know about this. In some cases too, this could be about maybe Capricorn using sexuality to attain ambitions at this time as well, because we are talking about the self. So anyway, last but not least, Chiron will still be in Pisces, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time for Capricorn, Capricorn might be dealing with some kind of emotional wounds and suffering, perhaps due to deception and duplicity in communications. It could be dealing in some cases with perhaps a sibling or neighbor that has succumbed to drug use or alcohol. At the same time, there might be some suffering going on connected with the dissipation and dissolving of one's communications, and maybe even matters with short journeys as well. There are some cases too, and it could be maybe dealing with some false prophet that is in their neighborhood, or somebody that they knew from their early education that maybe is one. And really, it could also be too that Capricorn might be going through some emotional suffering connected perhaps with being overly passive in their communications and with matters with siblings and neighbors, and not taking the action and being assertive and aggressive when they needed to be. So anyway, remember too though that Chiron is the wounded healer. So in the areas that Capricorn might be going through some suffering connected with Chiron and Pisces in the third house, they could help others going through comparable issues, and in doing so, with a lot of that Pisces like self-sacrifice, compassion, and empathy. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Capricorn March 2018 horoscope forecast. And stay tuned next time where I'll be giving you my Aquarius March 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.